Are you tired of feeling overwhelmed when you have to get stuff done and you don't know how to prioritize? Well, let's get to that issue of let's learn how to prioritize like a pro and let's boost your productivity with these expert tips. Hello everyone, I'm Jonathan Aquino and I help teach the next generation. So prioritization, very important in today's day and age. Everyone has so many priorities. Everyone has so many things I need to get done, but no one, I feel, truly understands how to prioritize correctly, because everyone else says let's get your priorities straight, let's get this, let's make this a priority, but there are specific ways to prioritize correctly which some of the pros do. So I'm going to help teach you some of these, and maybe you can take some of these and utilize them to help improve your prioritization. So probably the biggest thing that you can do is to get a complete picture of what's going on. So make sure you understand all of your tasks, including mundane ones, including ones you do all the time. You want to create a to-do list to help you do this, an overall one, like a master to-do list to visualize how much you do. Now, what we don't want to do is we don't want to cut out anything or leave out anything. You want to include every single thing that you do on a day-to-day basis so that you know all the tasks that you do. So if I did that, I probably would have 50 to 100 things that I do every single day, and that would help me get a bigger image of what's going on in my daily life. Because what many of us not realize is we do a lot of things that don't help us in the long run. So for example, one of the things that I used to do was play video games. And nowadays, if that was on my list, I would cut it out because it's not helping me in where I want to get right now. That may not be something you want to cut out, but for others, it may be something that's like, you got a point. Maybe we can cut that out at some point. So the next thing is we want to set clear goals. So we want to understand the value of each task and what you want to achieve. So what do you want to achieve? What would be your purpose is what I want to kind of get to that. Why do these tasks matter? What do they achieve? And importantly, do they help in a beneficial manner that gets you closer to your optimal goal or optimal life or something along those lines? So I know for some of us would be like, walking the dog, going to the gym, meeting with friends. Those have tangible reasons as to why we would do them. Now, there's other things like I said, I'm going to keep ragging on video games because I will do from now on. Video games, for example, like they don't really help unless you're like a full-time streamer or something. But otherwise, you want to make sure you understand why you're doing the task and what's the purpose of it. What is it helping you towards? Now, after that, you then would want to rank the tasks by urgency and importance. If it's urgent, if it's not urgent, if it's important or not important. This is kind of the basic idea of the Eisenhower matrix, where I plan on making a video of that in the future. So watch out for that. So it kind of ranks, you kind of decide how important tasks are and how urgent tasks are. So for example, something that's important and urgent to me right now is recording these videos. Something that's important but not urgent is scripting like 100 scripts. Like it's really important, but I can do that over time as a long-term goal, because that urgent or not or important and not urgent is a long-term goal. Then, not important, not urgent would be like video games. And then urgent but not important would be like, like walking the dog, feeding them. Like that's not important to like the grand scheme of things, but it is urgent because they're gonna die and I don't need they dogs, you know what I mean? So when I make that matrix video, I'll make sure to leave it. I think it's over here. I'll make sure to leave it on this card. So you're going to watch it because I'll explain that way more in detail on that video than in this one, but that's the basic idea. Now, the thing that I would argue is the thing that's really helped me in the past couple of years is starting with the most important tasks. So you want to tackle your most important task first each day. For example, this is the eat the frog technique. So you start with the hardest, most complex thing in the morning, and then as the day goes on, your tasks get easier and easier. So you prioritize the biggest, the baddest, the hardest thing first. And then by the end of the day, you're doing the easiest stuff, the stuff that you didn't have to do in the morning or the afternoon. You can push that to the evening. So example, it would be recording these videos, hardest, biggest, baddest thing that I have to do. And by the end of the day, I'm probably just gonna respond to emails and like LinkedIn messages. That takes like no brain power, but it's at the end of the day that still has to get done. Whereas if I did it in the middle, it'd kind of mess with my flow of how things are getting done. So make sure, if you can, and I would personally tell you to try this, start with the hardest thing first, then ease your way into the stuff that doesn't take as much effort. After this, you want to be flexible. You don't want to stay rigid in terms of doing prioritization this way. You have to be adaptable and you have to adjust your priorities as needed. Times change, things change, shit happens. So you need to be prepared at any given moment to potentially throw a plan out. Something urgent comes up, a medical emergency comes up, an emergency in general happens. You never know what'll come up. So you want to make sure you're flexible. If something happens, it's okay if you miss a couple of days. You can pick it back up the next day after and be swimmingly along the way. So you want to make sure you're flexible. So for me, I have my gym time as flexible. I can go whenever I need to, and I can even not go depending on how I feel and how the schedule is looking. And then another one that's pretty easy to understand is break down large tasks. If a task is too big, like a 30-page essay, don't be an idiot like me and do it the day before it's due. Do it over time. Just do a page a day. And by the end of the 30 days, you'll have the whole thing done. Break it into smaller tasks. It seems so simple, but so many of us refuse to do it, including me sometimes. Break it down. Make it more manageable. Save yourself some stress. Make it easy on yourself. Break it down. Then after that, you want to manage your workload. So some of us can do 17,000 different tasks in an hour. Some of us can do one task in one day. So you want to make sure for your workload, be realistic on how much you can manage and focus on one task at a time. Don't try and do 3 different things. Like, I'm not gonna start recording and then script at the same time, and then record short at the same time. I can't do that. I don't have shadow clones. I'm sorry, I can't do that. So make sure you're realistic. If you can only do one task a day, then make sure you put all your effort into that one task. Don't start looking at other things or doing other tasks. Focus on the one thing, get it done. Now, somehow, if you can do like 17 different tasks in a day, first of all, how? Second of all, make sure you put your focus onto one task at a time. Don't try and multitask, because that, honestly, studies have shown all around multitasking is not exactly beneficial in any way, shape, or form. Single tasking is the way to go. And after that, you want to analyze where you spend your time. So if you remember earlier, I mentioned getting a complete picture with a master to-do list. Well, this is where you want to potentially start cutting stuff. So are you prioritizing your time to things that actually align with your goals? So ask yourself, what's your goal in life? Let's say for the next couple of years, for the goal this year. And is what's on that master to-do list helping you get to that point? So video games were not helping me get to that next level of business and entrepreneurship. So I cut them. So you have to kind of decide what things matter to you, what your priority is in life right now, and build up to that and remove stuff that may not help you right now. Now, obviously, maybe when I'm like on vacation or much older, then I'll probably pick up video games again because I'll kind of completed my work. But right now, I have no real need to use them, so I'm not. Where you're spending your time, make sure it's on the good stuff and not the stuff that doesn't really matter. Now, time blocking, I've said it several times. I'll continue to say it. It'll help you organize your days very easily. You can set what times you do your stuff and make sure you get it done. Like, I've made a whole guide on it, a whole video on it. I'll probably will make a full guide on time blocking itself, because genuinely that has been the biggest benefit of me doing this like whole time management research and learning about time blocking, utilizing it correctly. Man, it's so helpful. So I'll look at the time blocking video and watch out for a full guide in the future. as well on it. Then finally is say no more often. It's time to start saying no to things that aren't the top priority. I remember being an instructor and always saying yes to things that I didn't need to do because they were asking me to do things, the masters were asking me to do things that were below me when the main thing that I should have been doing was teaching. So instead of teaching the entire class, they would have me teaching one student and pause for the rest of the class, which first of all, that doesn't make sense. Second of all, I'm the teacher class. Why am I helping one student? That should be the job of the assistant instructors. You have to make sure you have to start saying no. I understand that it is fairly difficult for some people. So you want to start building up that muscle slowly over time so you get to a point where you can just say, no, I'm not going to do that. Give that to somewhere else or give that to someone else. Do it another time. Like saying no has really helped me out. When I was finishing or winding down my teaching career, it was a lot easier for me to kind of just say no because I was done. But also, I didn't have to do that. I was like the main instructor that could do all the teaching. So I didn't have to deal with all the younger stuff or the kids that didn't need my full attention in terms of I have a class to teach. I can't focus on just you because you didn't understand the material. So overall, if you can follow a couple of these, your prioritization will feel pro level. So make sure you follow at least a couple of these. And if you want to know more about prioritization and time management in general, there's a coaching package down below in the description. Make sure you click that. And let's get working together to make you the elite level time management pro that I know you can be.